as Will says, it's really great to see you all here, and obviously there'd be many, many more if people weren't all down at wherever it is, Parkview, watching the results of the election. Anyway, I refuse to do pessimism on climate change. I see absolutely no point. If we're all screwed, we might as well not think about it, and the way to sort it out is to believe that we can sort it out. So we can make this happen. We can solve climate change. Let's be optimistic. Let's not be pessimistic. And actually, we're shouting at the moment that we want to end solar power cuts, and just look at the amount of energy there is in the sun today. And it's a wonderful thing that in the last few months we've seen masses of solar panels go up, and sometimes they're in places where we don't like to see them, but we're going to be generating a massive amount of our electricity from solar this summer, so that's really something to celebrate. Something else that we should be celebrating is that we had a global agreement in Paris in December. Now, again, you can see that glass is half full or half empty, but on the optimistic side, it's absolutely amazing to get 168 countries, totally different regimes, different sizes of countries, different sorts of priorities of the people in those countries, but they came together and they agreed, firstly, that this is the most important issue facing us, and secondly, the kinds of things we need to do about it. We didn't get all the solutions there, but just getting an agreement in Paris was historic, and we should also celebrate that. But what we have to do now is make sure that our politicians stick to the commitments that they made. And one of the things a lot of people in this country are saying is that it's complete hypocrisy for David Cameron to make all this noise about climate change, and then the policies he introduces in this country are actually making us go backwards. And in a minute you'll have the opportunity to symbolically demonstrate that by walking backwards, hopefully without falling over. So I don't do pessimism, but I do being critical. I do getting angry. I do criticising the government and putting pressure on the Tories to put their policies where their mouth is, and they've utterly failed to do that on climate change. In fact, they've done completely the reverse. They have deliberately attacked the renewables industry. Now, I represent as an MEP the whole of the southwest of England, and it's an amazing part of the world for being able to generate electricity from renewables and get energy from renewables. We've got every type of renewable energy you could think of. We've got geothermal down in Cornwall, we've got the amazing Severn Estuary and the ability to get energy from tidal lagoons. Obviously we've got a very windy part of the world, which we don't always like, but it's great for wind farms. Also great for solar. It's one of the best places for generating solar because of the way the sun actually meets the ground here. Far better than Germany, where they have much more solar panels installed. So we've got great opportunities, and what the Tories are actively doing is undermining that industry here in the southwest. And as an economist, that's something that I find absolutely infuriating. Because of their mates in the oil and gas industry, they're attacking renewables. The energy of the future, the industry of the future is being destroyed here in the southwest just to suit the Tory party and a few rich people. And that's where we've got to be critical, that's where we've got to get angry, that's what we've got to change. We mustn't let that carry on. While I'm on the topic of the Tories, which is always quite a popular topic for me, I should say clearly that the only industrial sector they're interested in, and it's something I don't consider an industry at all, and that's finance. Tory policies are all directed towards the city. Why do we have this monstrosity of Hinkley, this appalling white elephant, Hinkley Power Station, which will cause, the routine emissions will damage children's health, will damage all our health. The electricity coming out, 92.5 pence per kilowatt hour, 3 times the current market price for electricity. Why have we got that monstrosity still threatened down there on the North Somerset coast? The answer is because they want Chinese money to come into Europe through the city. It's all about this massive kowtow to the Chinese, which is a national humiliation in my view, and we must not allow the finance sector to dominate everything else that happens in this country. So when we think about climate change, it's often said we need a lot of money, we need to invest in the future. But that's the whole point is money is not always the same thing. It depends who owns that money. It depends how that money was created. And the private financiers at the moment are rubbing their hands in glee. They see an opportunity to profit from our need to save the planet. And that's another issue where we have to be very critical, and we have to make really plain that the kind of renewables we want are community renewables. We really want to see power to the people. We want to see people getting the benefit of the amazing renewable resources themselves and keeping that value in their communities. This is what's happening in Germany, where the vast majority of the new renewables that's installed is owned either by local authorities or by local people. So instead of having these big energy companies profiting from our need for heat and light, people, ordinary people, are getting that value. And that's what we need to see here. We need to see continued support and increased support for community renewables, rather than this focus on private finance, which is unfortunately the Tories' priority, as usual. Right, my last thing is about the European referendum. I don't suppose everybody here agrees with me about the importance of staying in Europe, but we do need to think about the reasons people arguing for us to come out are making that case. The chair of the Vote Leave campaign is Nigel Lawson, one of the most prominent climate change deniers we have in this country. Now, the reason, there's a nasty little alliance of people who want us to come out of Europe. There's all sorts of things driving them, attacks on workers' rights, attacks on environmental protection. But to me, a key one is the fact that the European Union is keeping us to our targets on climate change, on carbon emissions, and on renewable energy. So the only reason the renewable energy sector hasn't been devastated any more than it has is because we have fixed targets if we stay in the EU. And part of the reason they're trying to get us out is that they want to carry on with the old fossil fuel ways, and they just don't give a damn about the planet. So it's important to stay in Europe. It's going to be important to solving climate change that we're there. 500 million of the world's richest consumers, we've got an important ability there to influence what happens. That's what we saw in Paris. We saw the power of the European Union working for good. I mean, I'm an MEP. I see bad things happening as well, but I'm absolutely convinced that solving climate change requires us to stay as part of that union. So, have a think about that. If you don't agree with me, feel free to come and ask me in a minute what your problems are with it, because I'm out and about all the time at the minute talking about the European referendum, and it's something we all have to make a decision about very soon, obviously. So that's all from me. I'm now looking forward to the bit where we walk backwards, so have fun with that. Please don't fall over. Thank you.